gave the order?
Don't. I don't know.
You don't know.
Hate the family? Not a problem. Nope. Husky, I'm good. You'll never hear from him again.
What if a city ran on one centralized system? On the surface, the idea seems kind of cool and could potentially make life a lot easier. However, all it takes is one skilled hacker to make life a living hell for the entire city. Watch Dogs shows us exactly why we should never let something like this happen by putting us in the role of the hacker. The story in Watch Dogs is all about revenge. Aiden Pierce, a gray hat hacker, wants revenge on those who intentionally caused a car accident that took the life of his niece. Even though Aiden can literally use everything connected to the centralized system during his path to retribution, he quickly finds out that one man cannot complete the mission alone. Revenge-driven stories are certainly some of the most common stories we see in media today. However, it's not the revenge part that makes the story such a memorable one. It is the relationships between Aiden and his friends and the overall premise of being able to hack an entire city that make it an incredible ride.
Well, that's why I brought the bolt cutters. He opens the door this much, there's a chain right there, I slip him in and snip, and guess what? It's not the pizza guy.
Shorty,
Even though the story was great, it can suffer here and there because of the seemingly endless side quests. More often than not, I ended up getting distracted in between story missions and would spend hours driving around Chicago completing silly tasks that did nothing to advance the plot. By the time I was finally ready to begin the next mission, I had completely forgotten what happened last. It just goes to show once again how hard it is to have a great story in an open world game with so many things to do. Assassin's Creed falls victim to the same problem. Of course, there will be players out there who aren't bothered by this, but it really stood out to me. Ubisoft has proved once again that they can make a beautiful game. I played Watch Dogs on PlayStation 4 and it looked just as good as Assassin's Creed 4 and just a step below infamous Second Son. It's hard to believe that within the first several months of the current generation we already have games that look this pretty, and it's even harder to imagine how much better they'll look over time. The only graphical hang-up I had with Watch Dogs came later in the game. I had frame rate issues during the huge gunfights and high-speed chases. Of course, this was caused by hundreds of actions happening on the screen at once, but I just hope that we are past issues like this by now. I typically play games solely for their stories rather than their gameplay. However, I was never interested in the story for Watch Dogs leading up to release. Instead, I was most excited about the possibility of hacking everything in the city with the press of a button. This innovative take on the traditional Grand Theft Auto style of gameplay ended up being just as exciting and fun as I had hoped it would be. That doesn't mean I didn't struggle with it at first, or that I didn't continually screw myself over by hacking the wrong thing on accident, because I did. The control scheme and ease of hacking comes with a learning curve, one that will probably frustrate you several times like it did with me. But if you take the time to learn it and get better, there will be no better feeling than hacking a bridge, steam pipe, stoplight, and garage door all within 30 seconds of each other in order to make the perfect getaway from the police. Another aspect of the gameplay worth noting is the gunplay. Watch Dogs shows off the freedom it gives you by allowing players to choose not to hack things and instead simply use any gun you find to complete many objectives. Sure, you can infiltrate a building and hack your way inside a guarded area, or you could go in guns blazing, destroying everything that stands in your way. While the gameplay is not as tight as it is in a first-person shooter, it's solid for a game like this.
What the? Hey, it's me. You called me here.
Shit. Have a lot on my mind.
Yeah?
Watch Dogs is one of those games that gets an incredible amount of hype when it's announced, but ends up losing a lot of it before it's released. Most of the time this is for good reason. However, that's not the case with Watch Dogs. It ended up just as fun and beautiful as it looked when it was first announced. Ubisoft Montreal nailed it with their new IP. If you take the time to learn the proper way to hack the city's hyper-connected systems, you'll find that there are so many exciting things to do and many ways to avoid the cops. Knowing Ubisoft, Watch Dogs will become an annualized franchise, and I have absolutely no problem with that. Sign me up! For the full written review and all things Watch Dogs, be sure to check out middleofnowheregaming.com.